The numbers speak to me. I know what they are trying to tell me, but I just don't want to listen. That is why the synchronicities have been ramping up and even messing with me lately. This is my story, a 3-part series, a true story from a Smoking Owl Tales listener. In this story, I will tell you about a girl I met on a dating app while I was living in a recovery house and how it brought me from one hell to another. My name is Daniel Cross, and I am a targeted individual. I went from one bad situation to another. However, I could see the truth on the whole journey. And this isn't an overcome type of journey, at least not yet. In part 1, I told about how I met her, how the numbers manifest themselves, and how I interpret them. In part 2, I told the story about the experience of how no narcissist family reunion is complete without calling the police. In this final part 3, I will tell the story about Anastasia's tattoos and what she said when I confronted her about why she had them, and also about where all her money comes from. In this part 3, I finally seek holy counsel and am told betraying words there too. Maybe that's actually exactly what I needed to hear. So stay tuned for this gruesome affair, a dip in the journey of Daniel Cross.
Finding yourself in the talons of an owl in the shadows of the forest moonlight. It's a gruesome affair.
As good as it was to leave, when I was released the next day, I had nowhere to go except back to the house with Anastasia. I did, and the energy was cold. It was not threatening. The words were sweet. "Sorry about that," she said. The other thing is that when I got back there was an ambulance parked in front. I asked her what that was all about. "There's a resident in another unit who died," she said. It seemed like a plausible thing to happen. "You never know when your card is going to get punched," she said coldly. I went down and walked around. 2 police cars pulled up. One of the police officers, a young stoic man, in an angry way, gave me a subtle side glance. It seems I got out of hell and then just came right back to it again the next day. And you don't know which are the good cops or the bad cops until you can observe how they move. And I know that while Anastasia is crafting her version of the events of the past 2 days, I need to focus my energy, and I need to put the time and the energy into my get out of hell plan. I was glad for my job, but I was feeling followed and gang-stalked on the job. There were these 2 guys hanging around with a truck at my work. One of them was smirking and said to me, "Hey Daniel, I know everything about you." That was an unsettling thing to say. I shrugged it off. The other said, "We know things about you." This was part of the street theater. On another occasion, a fight was erupting on a sidewalk, and they were trying to pull me into it. I gave a ride to a coworker, and he pulled out a kit and started doing meth right in front of me, in my truck, while I'm driving, and he acted like it was nothing, like it was some kind of normal thing to do. This was too weird, and just nothing, not even this, could shock me. I shrugged it all off. On another occasion, I heard exactly the Elvis Bigfoot line. An older man in gray jeans and a gray shirt said loudly to another, "Hey, I heard Elvis is playing in town tonight." And the other on cue replied, "Yeah, and Bigfoot is doing the warm-up." And then they laughed uproariously. This one is more recent and is a late addition to the story, but a guy I occasionally work with wears a ring that is associated with a certain lodge. He said to me, just out of the blue, "I heard you signed a petition." The weird knob on the reality matrix at home was always dialing higher. I kept feeling the force to dabble in the occult and dark forces, and I felt compelled to be angry. I didn't take any calls from the lodgeman, Philip from the 7-Eleven parking lot, or whatever his real name is. I actually started thinking that Anastasia's Apple avatar on messages was cool. It is a cartoon girl sporting a witch hat. I was starting to enjoy looking at her tattoo of Aleister Crowley, which kind of looks like a gray alien also. She has another tattoo of a half moon and the words, "Till death." Then there was the tattoo, which makes a lot of sense now. I should have read the writing on the wall with that one. She has a tattoo on her right clavicle of a shark fin in water. Every time I see that tattoo, I feel like the devil is mocking me. It's spelled out right there that it is a trap, that she is a predator, and there is something dangerous beneath the surface. But I just keep blindly chasing the light of the sparkling, sassy, evil fish lore that Anastasia's ephemeral youth and beauty is, even though deep inside, I know it's not real and it is a trap set for me. I'm not proud of this, but I tried a few magic ceremonies on my own. I had mixed feelings about it. I was getting pulled in. This is how strong these unseen forces are. Anastasia was getting unpredictable, moody, and would outright lash out at me frequently. After the incident with the police, this all seemed kind of tame, kind of normal, actually. One night she woke up at 3 a.m. and told me she had a nightmare that her father was attacking me with hedge clippers. Yup, 3 a.m. They want you off your square and sleep deprived. And add in some visual terror like she described in her dream. I tried to leave. Several times I just tried to leave, and Anastasia would put on her innocent, sweet act and apologize. In that moment, she could admit she had made some mistakes. She told me she wanted to be submissive for me. She told me she wanted to cook and clean and be feminine for me. She told me that her needs are minimal and that she won't cost too much. During one episode, I had enough and wanted to leave right there. Anastasia actually blocked the door and would not let me leave. Can you believe that? She tells me to just go. And then when I try to go, she physically prevents me. Eventually, I got tired of the ordeal and just stayed. That's the thing. It takes strength to get off the crazy train. Staying on board is easier in the moment, but the train just keeps chugging along deeper and deeper into hell. Each incremental increase in temperature just feels like a little bit. I asked Anastasia what the "till death" part of her tattoo meant. She said she got it with a friend. This didn't make sense because I'd never heard her mention that friend before. I was feeling bold. "So what's up with the shark fin tattoo?" I asked. "I just liked it and the tattoo parlor did it really cheap," she said. I knew that was a lie. I could feel her energy that she did not like the question. She didn't like being put on the spot and in a situation where she has to concentrate, come up with a story, and try to control her body language and facial expressions so she doesn't give away the truth. As hard as she tried, I could see her stream of lies for what they are, plain as day. I didn't ask any more questions that night. I'd heard enough lies for this day. I now know that witches, especially evil ones, have ways to communicate to others about who they are and what they know. They won't spell it out for you, ever. Never, ever. They play it like it's just some funny thing, or give you a little rage so you don't ask again. Like so many things, you have to learn this on your own. The fisherman will certainly not educate the fish, no. Rather, he will soften the lie. Like an implacable spirit, he will put the fish at ease. "Don't be afraid to enjoy a juicy worm," he will say, knowing it is not even a worm. It is a metallic and plastic lure with a barbed metal hook that is designed to capture and trap the fish. The fisherman wants the fish to bite on that lure. Like Jack told me in that ayahuasca story, magic is real, and the demons are implacable. Implacable meaning they cannot, under any circumstances, ever genuinely wish goodwill on you. They are your challengers. Although they do give you praise, their intention behind it is to earn your trust for the bigger kill they have planned for you. When they sense your anxiety is growing, they will softly tell you sweet nothings to try to put you at ease. When you figure out you are the mark, they will double down on their narrative and tell you that you are crazy. They will tell you that you are depressed and that they don't feel comfortable near you because they don't know what you will do. This is just a smokescreen to mask who the real abuser is. It is DARVO, D-A-R-V-O. Deny, accuse, reverse victim offender. This card has been played on you too, many times, dear listener. They are a predator, and you are their prey. If you are weak, they have you. You have lost. You are their food, even if just on the astral plane or in another unseen dimension. If you are strong, this will frustrate them and render their efforts fruitless. This is how we vampire slayers roll now. We piss demons off, even though they will pretend they don't care. I noticed Anastasia was wearing a new jacket. It was the second one she had bought that week. Also, she had bought a new hair straightener. Why did you get a new one? I asked. I wanted one in a different color. Anastasia replied. Where does all the money come from? I asked. I couldn't add up the numbers, but it seemed like she was spending thousands on a new stream of clothing, accessories, makeup, and all that stuff girls have in the bathroom, like a hair straightener, for example. I told you, I got a payoff after a car accident. Do you want to see my bank account? She asked. Okay, show it to me, I said. And she pulled out her phone and opened up the bank app. She logged in with her Face ID, and there it was. $50,000, more or less. I just thought it was weird, actually, and it's always around $50,000. That's like her magic money number. Anastasia was constantly bringing up my past. It was like anything I told her in confidence, she pulled it out later and flipped it back on me, weaponizing it, using my personal stories that I told her in confidence against me. I could feel an anger vibe inside my core. We were arguing a lot. She would push me, but I never ever pushed back. I would not give her that gift, something she would so thoroughly enjoy using it against me. She found a couple-year-old photo on my Instagram of me and a girl that I used to hang out with. Is this the kind of bitches you like to play with? She asked, smirking and emphasizing the play with part with a slower, sly, implying voice. Did you sleep with her? She asked. Have you seen her while we've been together? She asked. Why is this something we need to do now? I asked. I was trying to be clean, but Anastasia got me to smoke weed. She went to the dispensary. She had a dispensary card. I was reluctant, but I thought it could be cool to just chill out and be together and have a nice night finally. Maybe it would ease the pain, ease the anger, and ease the nightmares. Instead, I got really paranoid. I got really self-aware of myself, my flaws, my body. I noticed Anastasia's body too, and she didn't look like the young beauty I like to imagine her to be. She looked kind of bad. There was a number on her dispensary card. It was 666. That did not surprise me. That did not comfort me either, though. Why does it always have to be that number? We went out one night to get some food late. We'd been smoking, you know how it is. The order ticket was 666. The next time we went to another place, I just knew the number was going to be 666 again. It wasn't. It was 667, and that really messed me up. I felt mocked by the evil hive mind in the Matrix. Driving home, the last digits on the license plate of the car in front of us was actually 666. This is getting to be too much. So, it is almost winter, 2024 now, almost 2025. I went to church a few times just to get out of the house. Anastasia did come with me a few times, but I usually went alone and just prayed that God would lead me out of this hell. I enjoyed the good music and the uplifting vibe. There was this one service where Pastor Bob gave a really uplifting sermon. I hung around after the church service. Pastor Bob and I were talking for some time as people filed out, and some others stayed to enjoy some coffee and company after the service. Pastor Bob told me that I could stop by his office during the week and we could talk some more. He seemed to take an interest and wanted to help me with my troubles. I really needed some spiritual guidance. It was like I knew what I needed to do, but I needed to hear it from someone who understands my predicament. I needed them to tell me that exact thing that I have to do and hold me in some social way accountable for carrying it out. That Tuesday night, I showed up at Pastor Bob's office. He was wearing a Maine Beer Company t-shirt. When I came into the office, he had a smirk and a smile that made me feel uncomfortable. His shirt was not offensive, but it seemed like something beer drinkers would wear. Is this ambassador of the Lord a routine beer drinker? Does he not know that I and some others in his parish have struggled hard with addiction, including and especially alcohol? Does he not know about Proverbs 21, wine is a mocker? Pastor Bob tried to put me at ease. So what is it you are struggling with? He asked. I sensed that he knew that I was uncomfortable. The words just came out of my mouth. I feel like I'll never be forgiven, I said. Letting those words out made a wave of emotions flow through my body. I had to use strength not to let the tears rain. I had to use strength to keep my balance. The earth plane that normally feels so solid suddenly seemed to be swaying under my wobbly feet. Pastor Bob then told me a bunch of bullshit, which in summary was, you can live your life however you wish, and it doesn't even matter. Eventually, I just got sick of looking at Pastor Bob's annoying face and his lips spewing this "do what thou wilt" crap. I think I'd enjoy listening to Aleister Crowley himself more, and Mr. Crowley would probably have a cooler t-shirt than this cringe Maine beer thing. Pastor Bob could tell from my body language that I was ready to split. I want to give you a book, he said, and he went to the shelf where he had several of the same book and picked a crisp one and handed it to me. It was brand new, and it looked like it had been handled by human hands maybe once before. It was What is the Gospel by Greg Gilbert. Thanks for the book. I better be going now, I said, and I left. No tears. Maybe it's what I needed to hear. Why? Because I know what I need to do, and I don't need some tipsy fake pastor blowing hot air in my direction. I think the book might actually be okay, but I'm not sure I have a use for it. I have a Bible, which I want to spend more time with. I want to pray in solitude more. I want to talk privately with God. I am feeling the desire for time and silence to let the inner guidance come to me. I know I want to get away from Anastasia. I know I want to get away from the magic, the weed, the alcohol, the worst stuff I don't want to say. I stopped going to that church after that incident, and I hoped I would never see Pastor Bob again. About that other dream with the cat, I woke up one night, again at 3 a.m. Anastasia was sleeping. The thing is, I wasn't really awake. It was like an astral projection or a lucid dream. The cat was on the windowsill and seemed to be motioning to me to come to the window and take a look outside. In the still of the darkness of the room and barely audible background sound of Anastasia's breathing as she slept, I walked to the windowsill and looked out. I saw a group of my coworkers outside. They were all looking, actually, more like staring at the window. They did not look friendly. I felt the resentment and disdain in their eyes. The cat held up its paw in a sign of what I interpret to be empathy or some kind of understanding. The cat knew I have to fight this battle myself. I felt the cat is rooting for me. My coworkers, on the other hand, are rooting for my demise. It's strange because the cat is Anastasia's, but the cat seems to like me and dislike her. It shows subtly. In this dream, I received the message, and then I went back to sleep or re-entered my body or whatever. I made a deal with myself. When I get full-time employment with healthcare, I will leave Anastasia and find my own place to live, even if it is with roommates on the wrong side of town. I had a job interview. I sent it from my other email address, the one which ends with, quote, recovery.com, unquote. I thought it might be like interpreted as a recovery email address, but I am myself in recovery, and before living with Anastasia, I did live in a recovery house. What does recovery mean? I was asked at the job interview. It's my recovery email address, I said, trying to make the lie seem like the truth without too much eye contact. We don't care if you smoke pot, he said. I thought this was a strange way to start a job interview. The job was to be a maintenance manager, and the interviewer was the director. He said, "It's better to mess up now and ask for forgiveness later." I was sure he meant to say it like, it's sometimes easier to ask for forgiveness rather than permission, but whatever. He continued talking. We thought about implementing a drug test for employees, but we quit the initiative. We thought that if we carried it through, we'd have to fire everybody. I did get a drug test, but it predictably failed. This is because I am on a medication called Suboxone. It is prescribed and it gives the effect of being a physical opiate substitute. It helps me with withdrawals. If I stop taking it, I will get sick. Well, enough on that. I got the job. I've been clean and sober, excluding the prescribed Suboxone, for over 3 months. I know I have to go, but I am scared. I am afraid of being alone. I'm afraid of dying alone. I am still young, but time is not patient. It just keeps going. About my name, Daniel. It means, in Hebrew, God is my judge. For me, this means that my life has a story about the connection of divine truth and justice. This is something that each and every real human in Earthrealm has. My last name, Cross, it symbolizes the crossroads and the trials. The name Cross aligns with the number 44 when written in Hebrew. This represents tests and transformations. We will all find ourselves at a crossroad, and we will all be tested. My number and my role is mine, but it is no more and no less important and relevant than your number and your role here in Earthrealm, dear listener. I'm at a crossroad right now. I need to get out of here. I need to get away from these people whose words are sweet, but their intentions are dark and bitter. Every day I say that I will start the process of leaving tomorrow. I will figure out a narrative to tell Anastasia, an excuse to go. I will look for a place to move to, but it all seems like too much. It is just easier each day to just stay one more day. Of course, Anastasia senses something is up. She's been acting really good. She cooked me dinner last night. Why is it that the only time she treats me this good is when she senses that I'm about to split? Still, I know what I need to do. I just need a couple more days to pull myself together and actually make the move. Just one, or maybe just 2 days.
Or maybe just 2 days. Maybe just 2 days.
That concludes this series, but by no means concludes the journey of the real Daniel Cross, who contributed this story over many hours worth of phone calls. Big thank you to the real Daniel Cross for telling this story, and I really enjoyed our conversations. I've been working with another TI for several months on the next series. This one deals with satanic ritual abuse, being born into the program, gang stalking, and destiny swapping. So be sure to subscribe and visit again on another night soon for this next series. I am not yet sure what the title will be, but it will include the term destiny swapping. It's been awesome having you visit for this horrible tale. Dusk is a time of transition. It's an owl's wake-up call. As the shadows grow longer and darkness takes over, the only thing to fear is fear itself. You can also catch Smoking Owl Tales on Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, and X, the social platform formerly known as Twitter. A pure audio version of these tales is available as a podcast on Apple, Spotify for podcasters, Podbay, Google Podcasts, and TuneIn, amongst others. There continues to be multiple mind-blowing collaboration stories in the works, and many of them are based on real stories from listeners of the Smoking Owl Tales YouTube channel. If you feel the call, give a rip at the subscribe button and scratch at the comment. Smoking Owl now has released a debut track titled Eternal Soul. So now I know, I am an eternal soul. It is available on Spotify and all major streaming services. A link to the Spotify version of the track is available in the description, but you can find the track easily by searching Smoking Owl on your streaming service. So, when you're driving your second loop around the 285 in Atlanta and that company van with no phone number is still trailing you, you know which track to play. I am sincerely grateful for your presence here, so stay longer now or catch you on another night soon, because the story goes on and on and on and on
And on and on and on and on and on and on.